We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good morning, family, and welcome back to another Friday Motivational Group. My name is Mel Wells, servant of the city of Philadelphia, servant of one day at a time, but most of all, what I'm proud of, servant of the community which I even come from. But I also have my co-host here with me, my boss lady, and your name is?
Latasha Wells.
And I love Latasha Wells, right? Today, you probably see the screen up there like, saying, what is all that static going on and so forth, right? You know, don't adjust that dial. You remember that used to come on the TV? It said, don't adjust it. This is breaking news. We have an important announcement. Or the TV back in the day just went off and you trying to adjust it. Yeah. But, you know, how do you deal with things when you can't see clear? And I just want to get my wife to read something so we can just dig in. And I always want to try to keep it real. Okay. The things that me and my wife even do, the things that we're studying, because sometimes things can become so hard that you try to adjust God's will in your life. So I want to start off with this real quick. I'm going to have my boss read something.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one.
How many of us say that prayer and really believe in it? Or even, you know, it's different than believing it than doing it, right? It says, your will be done. And sometimes what we try to do is adjust God's will in our life. And when we adjust God's will in our life, we can't really see the real gift that God has for us, right? You know, a lot of times you try to adjust it when you're confused. You try to adjust it when people hurt you. You try to adjust it because things just go on crazy in life sometimes, and life can get hard. Change can be hard sometimes. So I just want to talk about a few people real quick, and I hope we really can help you today, because the people I want to talk about, one of the guys is Garrett A. Morgan. You probably say, Mel, who's Garrett A. Morgan? I hope you know who Garrett A. Morgan is. He invented the stoplight, right? The traffic control light. You see the three lights or whatever? That's what he invented. He also invented the smoke hood. But let's talk a little bit about his background. This man became one of the greatest inventors ever. We still live and thrive off of his safety and things he actually did for us, right? And so how did Garrett start? Garrett didn't really care how he really was feeling. Garrett cared more about his determination. Coming from his family, he started off with just a dime in his pocket.
Wow.
With just a dime in his pocket. And now his family is a multi-millionaire family still living off of the things that he did back then. Why? Because Garrett said, I'm not going to adjust this down. I'm going to face being broke, and I'm going to also figure out, you know, things along the way by doing God's will. If I keep staying positive and not being negative, I'm going to figure out God's will. And that's who Garrett A. Morgan is. So I don't even care if you're broke. You can start your dream right now. Why? Because it's God's will. It's not that person's will that you're arguing with. And sometimes we got to be careful by giving people too much power over God's will in your life. A lot of times we allow people, other actions to control how we react. Next thing you know, we become angry, we become bitter. Why? Because we start to say we're doing our will and that's God's will. Let's talk about it, right? I want to keep going through this one. Yeah, I want you the boss, lady. You go ahead, please.
So
please.
Talk about, you know, not
adjusting the
dial in my life. It was a time at being a single mother when I adjusted the dial. I had 2 jobs and it still wasn't enough for me. You know what I mean? And I had to sell drugs, right? And I ended up in jail. So it was like I was doing it with my will and not God's will. You know what I mean? It was enough for me to feed my family and pay my bills, but it wasn't enough to keep up with the Joneses. It had to designer clothes, and my kids have this, and my kids have that.
Yeah, come on.
And I was trying to do my will and not God's will. God's will was you got clothes on your back, your bills are paid, your kids got food, you good. You got 2 jobs. You have income coming in, be grateful. But that wasn't enough for me. And I feel like his will was to sit my butt down and send me to jail. So don't adjust that dial, man, because I've been here.
Right. Don't adjust that dial. I can remember a story, guess, you know, even in Tosh, my wife inspires me, guys. You got to make sure you get with a woman that also inspires you, right? She didn't want to adjust the dial with just her mom in her relationship. And I was kind of confused. I thought everything was staticky. Yeah. But when they both got back together, you know, her mom has been off of drugs now for how many years? Hey, Mom, what's up?
8 years.
Go on, 8 years?
Yeah.
8 years already. Guess what, too? Tasha didn't have a high school diploma, and neither her mom. They didn't adjust the dial. They was honest about the problems in their life. and they both graduated school together. Make sure you don't adjust the dial by not wanting to do God's will and start doing your own will. Face what you need to go through so you can level up, right? We want to keep going. Another man who didn't adjust, the tone, he didn't adjust the dial, was Dr. King. Dr. King said, only in darkness can you see the stars. He also said, look, let no man, not your boss, not even your wife, not the people you stay in the house with, not the people you working with, let no man pull you so low as to hate him. Wow. A lot of times we like, I don't mess with that person or whatever. But is that God's will? How can you even say out your mouth, or how can I say out my mouth, I don't mess with another one of God's children? He's the big daddy. He's the big daddy, whether you like it or not. Can you just imagine how stressful it is when just in your own family, when brothers and sisters have to debate? How do we really make our mom or our dad feel? I lost my mom and dad, right? But how do we really make our mom and dad feel? Now I don't have my mom and dad, but I have God. So I have to make sure that I'm treating people, even if they don't like me, even if they talk behind my back. Why? I have to stay focused on leveling up. Yeah. Another man I want to talk about too is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was another man who went and adjusted dial. This man escaped slavery. I just was studying about him. He really didn't have a big education. He taught himself. This man became like, they give Abraham Lincoln a lot of the props, but I would say Frederick Douglass really freed the slaves. Yeah. Lincoln, he came in and took some of his stuff, and we got the slaves freed. We won't get into that story, what was really freedom or whatever. But what he didn't do was try to adjust the dial. He didn't say like, I'm going to be better than this. I'm going to be everybody else. Guess what he said? He said, I'm going to think selflessly and not selfish. I'm going to make sure that I get free so everybody else can get free. Yeah. Are you really free when you're trying to do your will? Are you free when you're doing God's will? How is your reaction to life? How is your character, right? What are some things, and you was talking about this, what are some things that people try to adjust in their life, and don't do God's will but want to do their will?
What I can see, we have social media everywhere, and I see that a lot of women adjusting their bodies. It's okay to lose weight and
appearances,
healthy, and what I mean. But a lot of women, getting their stuff done, getting whatever, done because they worry about their appearance or being like what they see,
and not realizing that you created by the one and only God. Yep. Everybody's unique. We all try to adjust something that's going on in our life. What about just adjusting what God is doing in your life? Yeah. A lot of times we get confused when problems come. But as the problems come because God is trying to give you a promise that he actually promised you? Is the problems coming because God is actually trying to be able to cultivate you to get to another level? Like Dr. King said, so no man can pull you down to hate him? We got to think about these things in our life, right? Not adjusting them. We also have to stop trying to adjust what surrendering really means. Surrendering means surrendering. A lot of Christians say this. A lot of Muslims say it. A lot of people who may not even believe in God say, I'm surrendering. I'm over it. Are you really okay? Have you really surrendered? Yeah. Listen, I know about surrendering. I had the police come get me back in the day. Yeah. It was two cops. I'm fighting these cops or whatever. Next thing you know, these big old cops coming out and they said, surrender, drop the gun. Man, I fell so fast. Why? Because surrendering means surrendering. Don't mean holding on to nothing. Don't allow somebody else actions to control your reactions, right? Yeah. Let's talk about this. Let's keep going, right? I want to get through this. We almost done this, right? What if God was allowing static in your life because he's trying to get you to have a clearer picture? We talk about tune in, don't adjust it and so forth. But when you didn't adjust that dial, you woke up in the morning, you seen the news on, it was a clear picture. We got to understand that we don't know how to get out of our own wilderness. Yep. Our own wilderness is our character. It's not just a forest where, you're thinking about the lions and you're thinking about the desert. No, it's not that. Our wilderness is inside of us now. We don't have to go through what our ancestors went through. Our wilderness is our character defects, and I want to keep going here, right? Maybe he's working on an enemy within our own character, our selfishness, our lies, our resentfulness. How do you really feel how people treated you? Yeah. How do you really react? Do you just say, I ain't messing with them no more? Is that what the reaction God wants you to be? Or are you saying, look, I'm going to be careful, but it's not my will. God tell me that I have to love you. Yeah. I have to deal with you. Just imagine if Frederick Douglass and Dr. King tried to adjust the dial, or Garrett A. Morgan tried to adjust the dial in their life. This was big for me, right? One person who stood out to me who didn't adjust the dial and had the power kind of adjust the dial was Jesus Christ.
Wow.
He went to the cross. The most perfect person that ever lived went to the cross. And me and you, we try to take our will in our own hand. And he said, Father, please take this cup.
Yep.
But if not, my will be done. Your will be done. He said, I got to do what you want me to do to level up. You probably say, Mel, how does God to do with recovery? The only way you're going to truly recover is by becoming a new person. You got to drop all the old if you want God to give you the gift of the new, right? And I'm going to show a video at the end that shows two different perspectives of brothers. I just want to read this to you real quick. Right here in 1 Corinthians 9:19, right? This is awesome. I love this, right? Because people say, Mel, why do you deal with people like you deal with people? This is why. I love this. This is radical because, one of the things is that I don't care what you got for me. I don't care what you got for me. I can say that now in the day. Back in the day, I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I don't care what you got for me. Why? I belong to the one and only God.
That's it.
I'd rather his blessings instead of yours all day long. And when you take your attention and you start dealing with people, you start to look for blessings from people instead of God.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's make this happen, right? He said, Paul says this. Paul used his freedom. Though I am free, even though you're in the doubt, you feel a certain way, you want to do this. I know what I'm talking about. I came to a recovery program. I know how to get off of drugs myself. I got 10 degrees. Listen, even though you are free, even though you were smart, he says that I am free and I belong to no one. No one. We adults. I'm like, well, I belong to you. I ain't gonna get, this camera go off. She gonna kill, boy. You belong to me. I'm your woman, right? And that's why God makes us one flesh, because we do belong to God. I have made myself a slave to everyone, not to Tommy, not to Joey, not to guess my husband, not to my, he said, I'm a slave to everyone, right? Paul was crazy to win as many as possible. Our job is at the end of the day, when we go to heaven, or when we pass away, or you get that 1 year clean, that 2 years clean or whatever, our job is just to be able to look back at God and look back at the past and say, job well done.
That's it.
Because it was God's will that did the job. A lot of us, we try to become our own creator when God is the creator.
Yeah.
He is who created you. He know all the problems, right? I would talk about this sometime, right? When you talk about people, I'd say, when they make wine, these people got to stump on grapes. And me and my wife was researching. I don't drink wine or anything, but we was researching and saying, how can we use this example? And we found a bottle of wine, I think, for $300,000.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there saying, why is this wine so expensive? They said because it hasn't been open for so many years. It's been crushed in a certain way. The tree was pruned a certain way. A lot of times we try to escape the crushing when God is trying to make you an expensive person. He's trying to make you expensive. Because everybody else will try to pull you down. So don't work for them no more, guys. In recovery, that's why the first thing you come in recovery, you find out that you got to surrender and let it be God's will and not your will. Yeah. I just wanted to come here today, me and my wife, to let you know that it's possible, but you got to let go of your ways. You got to let go of your thinking. I'm sitting here talking to you, and people talk about me, and guess what? I'm still going to love them. Yeah. Because God's vengeance, that's God. God got that. God got the problem. The moment I start trying to hate another person, what Dr. King said, it pulls me down. Yeah,
that's when they got the power.
That's when they got the power, right? Back in the day, they had a song saying, I got the power. You only got the power if you let God have that power. Let him be the ultimate maker and taker, the revenge person in your life that trying to push people in and let God take care of that. That's light work for God. God said your job, in Psalms 46:10, it says, be still and know I'm God. Your job is to love. Love all the time. They got scriptures in the Bible say it's a time and a place for everything. But the one thing God tell us always to do, love. You don't understand that? You got to understand. This is a secret I hold in the Bible too. Tasha know I love this right here. Because I'm like, well, how can I get people back? Through loving them. The Bible says that when you love a person that's mean to you, you can research this yourself, man. It says right in the Bible, right? It's like dropping hot coal on their head. I don't know if that Psalms or Proverbs, right? And so I'm going to smile at you, baby. I'm going to do what I got to do because God is in charge. I hope you get ready for this journey. I want to congratulate those who have already allowed, to surrender in your life. Those who already surrendered. I look at Daryl Chapman. He surrendered. Yeah, we have days, me and my brother, we talk about it, but I think Daryl going on close to 30 years clean.
Yeah, he is 30 years
30
clean.
years clean.
Yep.
He surrendered. He
He
did everything one day at a time told him to do. You're like, well, not all that. And even in the Bible says, give the season with a season.
Yeah.
Meaning that whatever the 30 years, whatever the institution is, even if you don't like it, walk through it. Because God will guide you through it. God will take you to a whole nother level. Yeah. You know, and I want to end out before we get into this video, some announcements, right? My daughter is phenomenal. I love my daughter because this that thing is a Wells family thing, right? She created this dance challenge to bring awareness to stopping the violence. And we want to give away. She saved her money that I was giving her for allowance. This girl got $500. I'm like, where you get $500 from? What's going on with that? Dad, I've been stacking my money, right? Yeah. What about this TikTok? How does that go?
So she created a dance challenge for you to go on TikTok to her own page at XOXO_Malia_. You copy the dance she did. You send it to us. The challenge is supposed to end Monday. I don't know if we're going.
We're going to extend it. Okay. We're going to get more people involved with that. But this is all about bringing awareness. She wanted to do this because she wanted to do God's will. She's trying to figure out. She's only 10 to 11 years old. Yeah. Trying to figure out God's will about where do I fit in with that, whatever. Are you trying to figure out God's will? Or are you trying to figure out your own will? There's another thing that comes up too. Every week, Chip Mitchell and myself, we came up with this platform. You got Oskino, Chris Kennedy, Daryl Schuler. We talking to you. Yup, talking to you. Those who may feel like they broke and they want to level up out of recovery, or those who, gets on the streets or whatever, or even business owners or even staff members. This week we had a guy from Wall Street. The prior week we had a millionaire who came on and told us how to make money. Listen, man, recovery is a holistic piece. It's about your money. It's about your education. It's not about just getting off of drugs. Getting off of drugs is almost the easiest part. It's dealing with your character defects. Yeah. And we giving you information to help level you up. And I also want to send a shout out to my entire staff. I'm nothing without y'all. You hear people all the time say, Mel. Yeah. No, that, yeah. Right? Yeah. Jennifer, yeah. I love you. Naya, Ebony, Brianna. I'm sorry if I'm not naming all of y'all. Chris, Corey, Tamika, Daryl. You can't say Joby. I say Joby, man. You can't do that, man. She's going to take Joby. Joby, I wouldn't say that myself. Rachel, who's new to the team. Yes. Karen, who's here and so forth. Tone, even at the front desk, holding it down. Gio and them out in South Philadelphia. That street team. You got Drag. You got Omar. You got so many people.
You got Tashima, who runs all them women's sites, okay?
That's it, right? Yes. We running it down to you. April, in charge of the outreach team. And guess what?
Great job.
April and them and Jennifer are bringing on a whole new outreach team. We have jobs. Right? And I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning y'all. Takia. Shout out to Takia, who's out there too, right?
Shout out to Tanya Chapman.
I think I said Tanya.
Nope, you didn't.
Tanya. Gonna get me right. Listen, guys. This is just a thing that we wanted to come here today and let you know what leveling up is really about. Leveling up is not your will. It's not about what you think or what you see. Because sometimes with God, like Paul, you can walk down the road and you're going to get blinded and ain't going to be able to see. But when the scales fall off your eyes, you're going to say, it was really worth it. I remember my dad even sent me to jail. I'm like, why are you sending me to jail? I don't like this. I'm so grateful today that he did send me to jail because it helped me see clearer. Yeah. I want y'all to watch this video about two twin brothers who had a dad who was an alcoholic. And look at how they both had different perspectives. Whatever you do this weekend, make sure you walk out not with your perspective, not with your wife's perspective or your kid's perspective. Walk out with God's perspective. And that's only one perspective. That's love. Once you surrender and you get love, you're on your way to leveling up, baby. Amen. And you just bear witness another Motivational Friday. My name is Mel Wells, and this is my boss lady,
Tasha Wells.
Give me a kiss, baby. Love you. Level up. Peace. Who that?
Oh, that.
Got it.
Listen, there's a story of two twins, right, that were raised by an alcoholic father, right? One of them became an alcoholic. And they told him, they said, why are you an alcoholic? You're just like your daddy. Why are you alcoholic? He said, it's because I was raised as an alcoholic. The other twin never touched the drink in his life. And they say, that's kind of ironic. Why haven't you even touched a drink? He said, because I was raised by an alcoholic father, and I don't want to be like him. It's not what happens to you that matters the most, but what happens inside of you that matters the most. The enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to ruin your peace. He wants to ruin your joy. He wants to ruin your mental and emotional well-being. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Why are we suffering from so much depression, so much anxiety attacks? He's after your peace. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. And as long as you are tied to your past, you cannot reach forth to the future of your destiny.